You are watching Canadian Muslim News on Muslim Network TV from Toronto, Ontario. I'm Catherine Bullock. Assalamu alaikum and greetings of peace. Coming up, we will talk to Justice for All Canada's Communication Manager, SALEHA FARUQUE, about their participation at the recent Muslimfest festival. But first, some news headlines. 2 dead, 3 injured in GTA and Halton in series of shootings. Alberta's Justice Minister asks Chief of Human Rights Commission to resign. Study shows half of Canadians oppose private health care. Gulf states demand Netflix remove offensive content. And now the details. A series of shootings yesterday in the GTA and Halton region has left 2 dead and 3 injured. The shootings began at around 2 p.m. in front of a Tim Hortons restaurant in Mississauga that killed Constable Andrew Hong, who was on a break from his joint training for Peel and York Regional Police. The suspect then fled to Milton, killing another victim, identified as auto mechanic Shakil Ashraf. In Hamilton, the suspect engaged with police where he was shot dead. The rampage also left 3 injured. Toronto Mayor John Tory tweets that flags will remain half-mast in all city locations to honour the memory of Constable Hong. Alberta's Justice Minister has asked lawyer Colin May to resign from his position as Chief of the Alberta Human Rights Commission. Colin May has only served a few months in this office. 28 Muslim organisations in the province signed a letter from the National Council of Canadian Muslims, or NCCM, calling for his removal from the office. According to the NCCM, May declined their invitations to interact with Muslim leaders in the community to reflect on Islamophobic remarks he made in 2009. The NCCM told a media source that the organisation has learned that instead, May is threatening to sue his critics. In the third and final part of the healthcare study by the Angus Reid Institute, half of Canadians oppose the idea of private healthcare. 1 in 3 Canadians believe that private care can improve the healthcare sector. 54% of past Conservative voters are in support. 47% of men believe that privatisation of the healthcare sector can worsen the system. Yet, more men show support for privatisation than women. Households making less than $100,000 annually oppose the idea of privatisation. 4 in 5 in Atlantic Canada consider healthcare poor. At least 58% of Canadians consider the same in every province. The Gulf Cooperation Council, or GCC, has demanded global streaming platform Netflix remove content deemed offensive to Islamic culture. In a statement, the General Commission for Audiovisual Media says the content, quote, violated media regulations in the GCC and Islamic and social principles and values. It says the content is aimed at children, without providing further details. Reports emerged in recent weeks that Netflix was planning to promote homosexual content aimed for younger audiences. The Commission said it would take necessary legal measures if Netflix refused to take out the content. The streaming platform has not commented on the statement. And that's it for the news. Muslimfest is North America's largest Muslim arts and entertainment festival. It attracts over 65,000 visitors each year. Surrounding the entertainment area are vendors. This year, around 100 vendors with their different goods and services. Justice for All Canada was one of those who had a booth. We welcome Communications Manager SALEHA FARUQUE to tell us about the show. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the show.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you once again, Dr. Kathy, for having us.
Well, it's our pleasure. You're a regular. You're a sister organization to us, so it's important for us to help amplify the voice of the work that you're doing. So Muslimfest Arts and Entertainment Show, why is Justice for All Canada, an advocacy group, having a booth there?
Well, I think that we use a variety of advocacy mediums to raise awareness and conduct public education about our various human rights campaigns. And I think that most people are definitely familiar with our action alerts or our campaigns, as well as the human rights briefs and reports and publications that we produce online, particularly now that we've passed most of the pandemic with restrictions lessening around us here in North America and around the world. We know the power of artistic advocacy and hearing directly from impacted communities regarding how various global discriminatory policies kind of impact them in different ways. So with regard to the festival, it was mostly a take action station or an advocacy booth that we set up where people can kind of see us in person as opposed to just viewing our work virtually, which is how we've been primarily been functioning for the last couple of years.
And did a lot of people stop by to talk to you, or are they mostly just walking past and looking?
I think with the nature of this festival, you do get the height of crowds at different times of the day. So definitely you have those periods of a lot of people walking by, as you're mentioning. But we have had pretty positive results from this year's presence at the festival. We've had hundreds of people actually stop by, both to ask us questions about our advocacy, keeping in mind that we were the only Canadian Muslim advocacy organization at the event. And we've also had people just stopping by after really recognizing our logo and our work online and a little bit feeling surprised to see us on the day of. So a mix of both asking questions and recognizing our work.
You said the booth was a take action booth. What does that mean?
I think that with regards to whenever you're appearing in person, especially with the kind of work that we do, where we are not a humanitarian relief or a charity, we are an advocacy organization. So we always have to think outside of the box in terms of how to make our in-person engagement a little bit more exciting and memorable for both volunteers behind the scenes, as well as people walking by and engaging with us. So we called, anytime we are in person, we call it our Take Action Station, hashtag Take Action Station. And particularly for this festival, we brainstormed and we developed two fun activities that people can take part in. So the first one was taking part in a human rights pledge, where you sign your name on a kind of symbolic commitment station, saying that you pledge to use your capacity, whether big or small, to challenge global Islamophobia. So there was that, and then you walk away with a pledge. And the last activity, but certainly not the least, was a human rights selfie frame. So we developed a kind of physical selfie frame that you could take a picture of, and on the selfie frame was a similar pledge or commitment.
And I took a selfie frame with you. Where are you going to be posting these selfie frames?
So you could catch our selfie frame photos in the next couple of days on our social media. So predominantly it will be on Facebook as well as Instagram. And if you do follow our newsletter, we're always updating subscribers as to our activities and especially our highlights and progress. So either newsletter, Facebook, or Instagram right now.
You said that you had a lot of people stopping by and they were maybe surprised to see you. So on a booth, you can't highlight all the issues that you're working on. What was the issues that you've had spotlighted beyond these activities that people were asking you about?
Sure, I think that's a really important question. So primarily at this event, so this was during the Labor Day weekend, we were present in Mississauga, Ontario at the Celebration Square venue to talk about two genocide alerts that were issued recently for India. So India is the only country in the world with not just one, but two genocide alerts. One of them is issued for the Kashmiri Indigenous population in Jammu and Kashmir. The other genocide alert was recently issued for religious minorities, predominantly Muslims in India, that are facing mass crimes against humanity, as well as discrimination and racism that are all policy level. So we were there in person to raise awareness about that. We had informational pamphlets as well. So even if you didn't want to take part in the creative advocacy actions, we did have a lot of resources, as well as different ways that you could take action in your personal life in terms of, for example, contacting your local member of parliament or writing to the Prime Minister.
And who has issued these genocide alerts? Are these something that Justice for All Canada issues, or another organization?
So definitely using our platform, we do amplify a range of crimes against humanity that are impacting Muslim minorities around the world. But we really took a lead from the NGO Genocide Watch. The president of Genocide Watch, I just want to mention quickly, is Dr. Gregory Stanton. He was the same individual that predicted the genocide against Rwandans 5 years before that genocide took place. So that's why when he came out with the warning for Muslim minorities in India, we took that very seriously, and we wanted to do whatever we could to let the Canadian government know to act under their obligations under international human rights law, as well as just to kind of let Canadians know as well, and to gather that momentum and that mobilization.
Well, I mean, he's obviously a man of great stature and experience, but a genocide alert for India probably falling on deaf ears, I'm imagining. How did the people at the booth react?
I think that with our Save India campaign, we faced a lot of challenges in terms of getting a response from the Canadian government. But at the festival, I've had a number of Indo-Canadians stop by and really recognize our work. And a couple of individuals even began to get a little bit emotional when they realized that we were there to raise awareness and talk about the anti-minority citizenship policies, as well as some of the recent really terrible events. So, for example, the bulldozer politics that are happening. So, for example, anytime any Indian Muslim minorities or any minorities speak out against the government's actions, their home or their place of business just kind of indiscriminately is bulldozed. And
You mean this person was emotional because it's happened to their family back home, or because they were upset with you because they didn't want this thing to be recognized?
No, so I think that Indo-Canadians feel solidarity with their people back home and with their families. So I think that's where the emotions were coming from. So it was Indian Muslims that stopped by that, first of all, I think were quite surprised to see the work that we were doing, and they wished us well. And they expressed their lived experience, either from their time back home or from the experiences of their loved ones, their parents, their cousins, their extended family. So I think
the celebration square is open to anyone can wander in. Did you have any hostile passers-by?
So you're correct. It was the first time that we were at a public venue, and I think that India is one of the highlights of the country is its diversity. And I think that Muslims and Hindus have lived peacefully. They've coexisted peacefully for thousands of years before this new nationalist BJP government that's taken over the government in India. So I think that we did have a few instances where we were kind of explaining the work that we do and the impact of the discriminatory policies on Indian Muslims. I found myself explaining that to a few non-Muslim Indians that were passing by. But I think it all falls under our mandate of public education and really just raising awareness.
And how were they reacting?
I think that so typically it takes some time to explain that it's that our work really targets lawmakers and people in power and corruption in power. And I think that we took some time to explain that. Usually they feel a little bit kind of on the spot when they might see a picture of their prime minister, Narendra Modi on, for example, our pamphlets or informational flyers. So just kind of, so they're a little bit taken aback, just to answer your question. So I think it just takes us some time to explain that really all Indians are somehow impacted directly or indirectly by the discriminatory policies. And that's really what we're trying to raise awareness of. I think that I said many times to a couple of people that we really love Hindus. And I think that we want India to go back to that place of pluralism and peaceful coexistence between all minorities. And I also just want to mention that under our Save India campaign, we raise awareness of crimes against, for example, Dalit minorities. So they are deemed, quote unquote, the untouchables. We raise awareness about caste discrimination. We also use our platform to advocate for Indigenous minorities. These are tribal communities in India that are called Adivasis.
Well, unfortunately we have to end it there, but that's a good way to end. You're talking about taking India back to pluralism, and you've got a pluralist approach in your advocacy. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you again.
Thank you again. Have a great day, Kathy.
Thank you for watching. If you like what we do, please share, like, and subscribe. Stay safe, and God bless.